Hi there chickpeas, I need to ramble about Witchfest. I'm going to start by saying that I was initially really disappointed because what I wanted to do was film Witchfest and, you know, have this collection of edited footage. I was going to put it on my YouTube channel and just show you kind of what I experienced and what was actually there and stuff. As I was making my way down towards the Brighton Centre, which is on the Brighton seafront, and I had taken the whole weekend off and I'd gone down there with a friend and I was super excited. I fucking love Brighton anyway. Brighton's one of my favourite places in the UK, and I hadn't visited properly for a while, so I was super excited. I was walking down to the Brighton Centre to go down to Witchfest, and I stopped in a sort of quiet little corner to film my introduction, and I was like, hi guys, I'm going into Witchfest now, I can't wait to show you everything. And then I actually got down there, and as I was giving my ticket to the guy, there was a sign on the door saying, like, you know, no filming or photographs beyond this point, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't expect that. I thought that's what we do now. That's what we do now. Surely, if we're not filming or taking photos, it's like the fucking thing we're doing isn't happening. Surely, that's how we validate everything we do. No, if I'm having some smashed avo on toast, I simply must Instagram that mother bitch. Otherwise, there's no point. It's not real food. So I was like I was inconvenienced, but it's okay. It's fine. I'm just going to ramble about it for a bit and let you know what happened and what my impressions were, because I've wanted to go to Witchfest for a really long time. I remember the first time that I ever discovered Witchfest was a thing was when I first started watching Egyptian's videos ages ago, and I was like going back through videos that she made before I discovered her channel, and she filmed like going to Witchfest with some of her fellow witches, and that was like ages ago. Might have been in 2008 or something like that, and ever since then I've thought to myself, oh, I really want to go to Witchfest, it looks really cool. So I'm glad I finally did it. No regrets, and just going to have a little bit of a ramble really about my impressions and yeah, just some thoughts that I have. A lot of the front of the Brighton Centre is just glass, so you can see inside. And I remember as I was walking past to get to the main door, I was looking in at all the people that were sitting down, kind of gathering themselves for the day, and I saw a guy wearing massive, like, Lucifer horns, and I just thought to myself, oh, I'm a little underdressed. There was an immense amount of uber awesome headgear. There was just some really cool headgear going on. I met up with my gorgeous friend Angel inside, and her lovely friend Marie, who I'm really happy to have met, and Angel's daughter Talim, who is also my really awesome friend, and I just love her to pieces. Angel's also got a YouTube channel where she talks about her spiritual experiences and her witchcraft and paganism and stuff, so I'll link that below for you. One thing that struck me about Witchfest that will always stay with me, that was really interesting for me, was that I got recognised from YouTube, like really quite a few times. Like I went up the stairs to meet with Angel and Marie and Talim, and we walked around the stalls for a while, and then after a bit I really needed to go and blow my nose. I don't know if you can actually hear it on the video now, but I'm a bit sort of snotty and bunged up and I've got a cough, and on the day it was just mostly like I just had a head cold a little bit, and so I had to go like blow my nose and sort myself out, and Talim was actually hungry and wanted some crisps, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down to the shop, get something for Talim, get a soy cappuccino, cheeky soy cappuccino, and I'll meet you back up here. And honestly, I think that took me about 40 minutes because I just got approached so many times by people once I went back downstairs again. Just people sort of saying, hi, I watch your channel and it's really inspiring and it's so nice to meet you, and that was fucking lovely. Thank you so much to everybody that I met that day that said hi and said that my videos have been useful. That was just like really surreal for me, and yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed meeting people and getting to know who I'm talking to. It's always really interesting. I actually met a guy in my hometown a few weeks ago who sat down, like, well, he just sort of like came over to me and was like, are you Kellyanne? And I said, yeah. And he was like, I watch your videos and listen to your audio files. And I was like, oh my God, I live in this town. How strange. So that was really, really awesome. So like, it's becoming a little bit more of a smaller world. But Witchfest was really like an amplification of that completely. It was just really heartwarming to, yeah, meet people. And there were a couple of people that said, I feel like I know you. And I said, well, you do in a way. You know, I've put quite a bit out there now, so, and I do talk about things on the channel that I don't really talk that much about to my friends about, you know, so it's my chance to talk about things that don't normally get a lot of airtime in my mundane life, if you will. So, you know, in a way, there is a knowledge of me. So that's kind of, that was really interesting and cool. And I met a girl called Isabel. Hi Isabel. Isabel has a YouTube channel, I will link that below, she's just started it. And she actually made a really good point about filming being prohibited, because when I met her, I got onto the topic of saying I really wanted to film this for my YouTube channel actually. And I said, you know, if Witchfest would allow people to film and take pictures of the event, I think the event would be much bigger. I think it would be like really quite huge by now, and it'd be much more bustling, and there'd be a lot more energy. And I said that I suspected that maybe filming was prohibited, having something to do with like the businesses that are here, the stalls and stuff. And Isabel was like, it's actually mostly probably for privacy. You'd be outing people, right? Like filming, there's lots of people here whose either families don't know, or in their professional life they wouldn't want people to know. It struck me as interesting that I hadn't even thought of that. That's the kind of person that I am, you know. I was born out, really, in pretty much every sense of the word. In every way I've needed to be out, I've been as out as you can be, in a way. Like, not obnoxiously, but I just feel like I have to live my truth, and it has to be that way. And so it was like I couldn't think for even a second to myself of what it must be like to, you know, come from a Christian family and not want your family to know, or be a college professor and it be very inconvenient if your student body knew. Like, it didn't occur to me. So thanks Isabel for that. Instantly the penny dropped, and I was like, oh yeah, that's true. There are going to be people here who aren't necessarily going to want the whole world to know that they are witches or pagans or into the occult. So yeah, that made a lot of sense once it was brought to my attention. But that's just like, that's quite typical of the person that I am. That is the kind of thing that I would overlook, that I would actually neglect for a moment to think about. So I felt a lot less bad about filming being prohibited after that, and it's given me the chance actually to just sit here and ramble a little bit about my impressions. I know a lot of people that watch my channel will be aware already that I'm a really solitary person. It's not part of my instinct to be around other witches and pagans. It's not part of my instinct to perform group practice. It's definitely not part of my instinct, really, to want to gather with other people that are under the same theological umbrella as me and sort of like shoot the shit. It's just not really part of what I want to do. I'm very interested in the online forum that exists that makes it possible for me to listen to other points of view and engage if I wish to, or just kind of absorb and be a little bit more passive conversationally, but really just take on other people's points of view and take on other information. But it's never been my instinct to gather with my own. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So Witchfest is kind of like the first thing that I've ever really done like this. And it was a really interesting experience. It was sort of fascinating in a way. I'm really interested in style, so it was like, that was quite intriguing, looking at sort of different categories of pagans by look. Like, there was quite a lot of cool older looking guys there that were really like dressed like, I don't know, I would say that they were dressed more occult, if you see what I'm trying to say. One guy looked like some sort of biker version of Crowley, and it just was awesome. There was like lots of the more traditional pagan clothing that could be described, I suppose, by mainstream peeps as more hippie, and there was a lot of that clothing being sold upstairs as well. So just sort of like the floaty medieval influenced sleeves and things like that. Tie-dye colours, very green and brown earthy colours. Some of the jewellery was off the fucking chain as well. That was really interesting to see. Loads of girls with awesomely like dyed hair, and I got quite a few compliments on my hair, which was really cool. I just did the deep purple again the night before I went to Witchfest, so there was a lot of cool hair going on. So it was really awesome just to see the way people were dressed. Obviously there were people that weren't necessarily dressed in any way that could be considered obviously pagan, but I just found it quite interesting to look at the way people were dressed. It was really cool. Witchfest is quite well organised. They give you a free programme as soon as you walk in, so they email you your programme at a certain point and you can print it out, but if you forgot to print it out or whatever, you get a programme when you arrive. People are really helpful. There are lots of like wardens or security or whatever around, and if you look like you're a little bit lost, somebody will approach you and say, you look lost, do you know where you're going? Everything's really well signposted, and so that was awesome. So I checked out the stalls first. The stalls were in one room. It was quite a large room and there was sort of like quite a few rows of stalls happening. I went round with Angel and Marie and Talim. We had a really good time. One thing that I was disappointed about when it came to the stalls was I was really expecting to see a lot of books and a lot of decks, and those are the main things that I purchased. I purchased learning resources and tools, you know, to enhance my business, and I just thought there was going to be, I definitely would have put money on the fact that there would be quite a few bookstalls there. I've mentioned before in a former video ages ago that Graham Harvey quote about Christians being described as the people of the book, or like people of the Abrahamic faiths being described as the people of the book, and pagans being more like the people of the library. Like, we just love to read, we love to imbibe knowledge, we want to get different perspectives on stuff, you know, and we want to be knee deep in that good shizzle. So I was really surprised to see no bookstores at all. And the only books that I actually saw were companion books for the couple of decks that I saw being sold. Just literally saw a couple of Oracle decks being sold. I did not see any tarot deck stalls. I just didn't see any learning resources. All of the stalls were very much geared towards ornamentation, home decor, so jewellery and like things to have in the home. There were some crystal stalls and that was really cool. Got myself my first piece of lapis and I love it. It was made for my hand. Look at that shape. Oh yes, lovely. So that was really cool. But I took, you know, I kind of had this idea in my head that I was going to let myself spend money on books and decks, and that just wasn't what was going on up there. There was a lot of clothing going on up there and art you could buy, just pretty ornamentation. There were kind of quite ornamental besoms with glitter and things on them. That was lovely, but it just wasn't what I was there to spend my coin on, which was okay in a way because it meant that at 5 o'clock when I left Witchfest, I had quite a lot going on in the wallet department. I went straight down to Brighton Pier, met my friend at the arcade and, you know, let him kick my arse at games for a while, and I had a lot of change, you know. I tried to shoot a lot of zombies, so it was fine. I had money and that was good, but I just hoped to leave with more things. The only other thing I bought actually was a necklace, which was, it's in the bedroom, I won't go and get it, but it's got this incredible diamond-shaped piece of Russian jade on it of the pendant, and it really spoke to me. The stone spoke to me straight away. It felt familiar to me, and then when I saw that it was Russian jade, I just had to have it. So that was really nice. I bought myself a piece of jewellery, treated myself well, you know. I must say, another thing that I'm not really 100% struck on is this programme, the picture that's on the programme. Like, why do I need to get a glimpse of this woman's knickers? You can kind of see, like, you know, she's opening her skirt up and you can get a glimpse of her underwear. I just don't get that, you know. It's just such a tired old stereotype, isn't it? Sexy, witch, seductress, you know. It's just like, do we need that to sell it, really? Is that the image we want? But hey, that's just me. And the other thing I want to mention about Witchfest is I actually wasn't there for very long, comparatively. So it does start on Friday night. There is music on Friday night, you know, and there was a performance on Friday night by Fire Eaters and stuff. And then Saturday is when I bought a ticket for all of Saturday. But I actually left early. It went on into the evening, like later on into the evening, and there were fire performers there, the burning of a wicker man and stuff like that, which I didn't see. I actually went to a drum and bass event on Saturday night with my friend, because two really like important drum and bass acts played in Brighton on Saturday night. So as a drum and bass head, I felt like that would definitely complement all the witchy stuff I'd done during the day, so that was cool. So I just want to let you know, like, a lot more went on than I actually saw and partook in. And then on Sunday there was music from Incubus Succubus, which, to be honest with you, if I'd have known that at the time, I might have booked for Sunday as well, because I fucking love Incubus Succubus. That took me back, you know, reading that, so that would have been cool. Oh, I hate it when my tea goes past the barrier. But I've been stopping throughout this video to, like, WhatsApp people, and my tea has just not survived, I'm afraid. It's all lukewarm. Blech. Okay, so Witchfest is not all about the stalls, it's not all about the commercialism. There are shitloads of workshops and lectures, and that's what's really impressive about it. And the programme really just outlines everything and tells you what's in every room and stuff like that, so you can get a sense of what you want to do, and you can plan with your friends if they want to go and do something different, and then you can meet up later or whatever. I went to 3 of these events while I was there on the Saturday. The first thing that I went to was Lucifer, Light of the Aeon, which was a talk by Diane Narroway. And that was basically, Diane Narroway has recently released a book where she and a number of other people, I think she said there were 19 other people involved, but I'm not sure, I think that was the number that she mentioned, actually wrote essays about Lucifer, different aspects of Lucifer, the way that Lucifer is thought of culturally, just different ideas, different questions that come up around the worship of Lucifer and Satanism and that kind of thing. And the book looked amazing, and the talk was quite a lot to do with things that were covered in the book and different opinions about Lucifer in modern culture. I wanted to buy a copy of the book at the end. She was selling signed copies, but unfortunately I got to the front of the queue just as the books had gone. There were no more left, so I'm definitely going to pick it up on Amazon though. It looks really good. What I really liked about the Lucifer talk was the question and answer segment at the end, which got really lively. People were kind of debating back and forth with each other. So Diane was kind of answering the question from her perspective, but then there would be a little bit of back and forth between different people, and that was really interesting. Some of the things that were brought up were animal sacrifice, whether or not, like, animal sacrifice in the worship of Satan, whether or not Lucifer and Satan can be considered different beings or are usually considered the same being. The idea that Lucifer was never actually a being in the Bible, but was actually, you know, actually in the original text was a star that fell, and then Lucifer means bright star, so it's kind of, the mythos is built up around that linguistic twist, if you like. It was just really interesting. I thought that was really a cool part of the experience. I then went on pretty much immediately to Invoking the Dark Goddess, which was a talk by Flavia Kate Peters. Is it Flavia? I always say Flavia, but maybe it's Flavia. No, Flavia. Flavia Kate Peters. I think that's right. That was a big crowd. My God, she filled that room right up. But then, of course, with a talk like Invoking the Dark Goddess, you know, that's going to be pretty full in a big event full of pagans and witches. So there were lots of people there. Me and Angel and Talim got 3 of the last seats in the room. People were sitting along the side, you know, it was dedication, I must say. And obviously I have a very, very intimate connection with the Dark Goddess archetype, and I have very much my own ideas about the archetype of the Dark Goddess, working with the Dark Goddess, what that means to me, what it has entailed for me, and what it has taught me. So I'm not going to say that everything that Flavia said actually resonated with me and made sense to me. It didn't, but I was really interested to be there, and it was really nice to be there with people who were also very interested in that topic. And she did lead a very lengthy, very, very committed and very visual meditation where she kind of guided us all towards the Dark Goddess, and she helped us to visualise the Dark Goddess in a few different forms. And the visuals that she used and the imagery and symbolism that she used was really cool, so I really appreciated that. It's a very full-on day and it's very high energy, so I'm not going to lie, it was difficult not to slip into the sleepiness that sometimes does come upon you during a very long meditation when, you know, you probably do need to decompress a little. I had a very full-on day the day before getting down to Brighton and stuff, so I was a little kind of like, oh, let me just get back into the meditative state there. I was getting a little bit sleepy. And a mobile phone did go off a couple of times as well, which was difficult. It was difficult for me to get back on track after that, just purely because I was dealing with tiredness to an extent, but I really appreciated the words that she used and some of the imagery that she used. I remember right at the end of the meditation, she led us into a forest and she had us stand in front of a naked flame, like a candle, and she said that we were extinguishing the flame, like blowing the candle out and allowing the smoke from the candle to like wrap around us and completely enfold us. And that really struck me and really took me somewhere, and I loved that. So thank you so much, Flavia, for that, or Flavia for that. That's awesome. It was really, really cool. I loved it. From there, I went to a wand workshop with Stephanie Parker, and Talim and Angel had great fun making wands. That was awesome. I did not make a wand because I knew that I had to go just before the end of the workshop, and I didn't want to take materials because the room was way more full than she was apparently expecting. So the materials were like shared out a little bit more kind of like than she wanted them to be. So everybody, you know, got a wand to sandpaper and put glitter and bind and have the feathers and everything, and there was some really awesome stuff going on in the wand making workshop. Talim's wand was fucking spectacular. It was just unbelievable. I was kind of jealous. I kind of wanted to take it. I'll just have that. Thank you, Talim, very much. And then Angel's wand was like super duper Virgo. It was just like, it was perfect. It was like it had come out of a factory, like a conveyor belt where everything was made to very precise instructions. It was super Virgo and I loved it. And it was just nice to sit with them really and spend some time with them, and yeah, just really enjoy people getting creative. So that was really cool. It allowed me to think a little bit about my relationship with the concept of a wand and where that's gone over time. So that was really interesting. I don't use a wand. I've thought on and off about it. When I was young and I used to very much role play being a witch, and I was really into the idea, and I used to dress up as the White Witch from Narnia. I used to dress up as the witch from the Wizard of Oz. I did used to have wands, you know, that I would play with. I'd have fairy wands, and I'd have more of the traditional witchy wand that's sharpened to a point, and I would use them in my role playing and in my games, and I kind of, even then, it wasn't the most important thing for me. For me, far more important was like a mortar and pestle to like grind up herbs, and I loved the idea of boxes and like knickknacks, like magical things that I could keep things in, and the aesthetic, the dress was always really important to me. I always wanted like the headdress or the cloak or the magical dress that made me witchy. Wands were never really that much of a big deal to me. They weren't the thing for me even as a kid. So when I got older, I did wonder whether or not I did want to have a wand, but I've always felt like my hands make more sense. I've always felt like the wand is actually something between me and the energy, rather than acting as a conduit for the energy or a conductor of the energy, a directional tool. I always felt of it more like, well, why would I want this between, you know, why would the palms of my hands and my fingers, surely that's really the most powerful thing. So for me, that's how it goes down. It was really good to take some time to reflect on that. It was super interesting. There were loads of other cool things that I would have liked to have seen. There was a talk on eco-friendly paganism by Tony Wileman, which would have been really cool to see. Crossing the Divide, Virgin Mary to Cornish Witch by Carol Carlton, which sounds fascinating. Western Magical Traditions, The Legend of Doreen Valiente, Odyssey in the Occult, Shamanism and the True Meaning of Magic. There were so many treats, you know, and it's just awesome to see that and see the organisation of it and the people taking part in it and just enjoying imbibing the information. So I had a really good day. It was awesome. Being at Witchfest made me think that I would like to do a talk at some point of that nature. I think it'd be really cool. Might be something to aim for as time goes on, so that would be brilliant. I'm sorry I don't have any footage. I hope this was somewhat interesting. I'd love to know below who's gone to, you know, Pagan Pride or any kind of Witchfest or Wiccan event or anything of that nature, Pagan Moots, you know. that kind of stuff. Did you have a good time? Would you do it again? What is it that really appeals to you about it? And I'd also love to know about merch. I'd love to know your opinions on stalls, because that was a really interesting part of the whole day for me, because I just envisioned it very differently to what it ended up being. Have you been to any talks or workshops or lectures or anything like that that have really stuck with you, that you've really valued? And if you've never been to an event like this, do you want to? And if not, why not? You know, I'd love to read through those comments. I think that'd be really interesting. Until next time, much love, guys. Blessed be.